All right. Welcome back to the Keep It Real podcast with your host, Nicholas Salter. Hi, everybody. Back with my lovely guest here, Mr. Luke Armstrong. So thanks again for tuning in. So today's episode, kind of want to go over, no, it's been a little bit since I posted, but kind of want to go over kind of dual topic here today, kind of perfectionism as well as accountability, which you might be like, what the hell do these things have anything to do with one another whatsoever? Well, I'm glad you asked. They actually have a lot to do with each other. But first going into it, we're going to cover the definitions of, at least what I believe the definition to be of both,
okay.
And then how they kind of intercorrelate and how people can use the information to benefit them on a day-to-day basis. But I'll start with you first, Luke. What do you think the definition of perfectionism is to you?
Perfectionism. The enemy of perfectionism is good enough, right? So I'd say perfectionism is where you get to a point where it's like think of it like an exponential graph. You know what I mean? Where there's like certain graphs where the line never quite touches the axis.
It approaches, for those who remember Algebra 2 from way back in the day, or if you're currently going through it now, I'm so sorry. As a line, a limit approaches zero, but it never really fully touches.
Yeah, it never fully touches it.
The axis, and it's infinite, and so I see what you're getting there. It's an unreachable expectation.
I think you get to a point of like 0.25% and above of like that last percentage where you're just getting closer and closer and closer and closer, but you're never touching it.
Yeah.
And I just think that's where you get into perfectionism.
Something that's basically unreachable is what.
Yeah, I would say it is unreachable. I think if you're doing something that is hard enough, it's unreachable. You know what I mean? I think, the movement, like me lifting up my arm, it's like I did that perfectly in the sense like I did the task I was supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
But
it also is a question like perfect by what metrics too. Like it sounds like even the metrics themselves could be subjective depending on the topic what you're talking about. Because to do something perfectly is just like, well, who's determining what perfect is in that?
Yeah, I mean, a fisherman, fishing in a dead lake will still feel a bite,
Yeah. And so, and that's basically my definition of perfectionism too, is that even something I realized for myself, perfectionism is something that while you can try to strive for, it's not something that you ever fully reach. And I feel like, personally, from what I've seen, that a lot of people may try to live their lives they're trying to achieve this idea of perfection, whether it be with their relationships or with their finances or with their body. Basically, won't allow themselves to feel any kind of happiness or joy until everything might be put in its place. And I turned 27 soon, and what I've learned from my 27 years of experience is that there'll always be something that like you'll have to work on, or something that may not always go your way, or you could have finally your plates all from spinning and then one of them kind of starts to drop, and it's always that cycle of trying to keep everything up at the same time, and it doesn't really seem that there's an end to that. So kind of like Sisyphus, that guy kind of rolling the rock up the hill, that story. It's like you have to imagine the fact that he's happy. I think kind of along the lines of that, where
is Sisyphus happy posting that rock up that hill?
Well, we want to imagine him that way because that's basically an allegory to our lived human experience.
So I don't know if he has a smile on that face pushing a rock up a hill and watching it roll back down.
Yeah, hopefully he is.
He doesn't have a choice, does he?
So.
Oh my God.
I think that's the thing. It's like we live in an imperfect world, so it's like maybe that is the secret, is that it is up to us choosing how we want to look at it, to where it's like we live in an imperfect world, therefore everything sucks, we should give up and just, we're all going to rot and die anyway, so who gives a fuck? Or we can look at it as where we can make the best of our circumstances that we have now currently, as imperfect as they are. We can try and make a choice to live happily. We can try and make a choice to live with intentionality, with our relationships, with our health, like try and make it best out of the limited time that we've been given, even though it'll never be a perfect, happy, joyous time. Maybe it doesn't need to be. But that's the one angle. Now, the other definition I wanted to cover was the one of accountability. So,
Oh my god.
what does accountability...
I just don't think you wrote this before, and you're like, I'm just gonna ask Luke, it'll be great.
I know what you're talking about. What does accountability mean in your definition?
I don't know. It's difficult, isn't it? Because I feel like there's two types of accountability. There's accountability of growth, and there's accountability of karma. You know?
Okay.
I think sometimes people can grow past there's accountability in the sense of like, I feel like a lot of people, not a lot, but I feel like quite a few people, you can look at what you did, and you can be like, okay, I'm going to try and make a better plan for the future to make sure something doesn't happen again. But I think even if you do that, sometimes the accountability of the punishment or what the person deserves doesn't always come up. You know what I mean? The comeuppance, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, some people, they don't ever get held accountable for what they do.
Yes.
So therefore their behavior never changes.
Yes, but here's the thing, even if their behavior does change, that doesn't mean they're going to get held accountable necessarily by other people. So that's what I mean, is that I think there's two types. I think there's an inner and an outer. The inner is the growth, where you're like, okay, I'm going to make this change. That's me being accountable for myself.
Maintaining a sense of integrity.
But then there's also like, I push somebody and get punched in the face for it. You know, that's outer accountability, where it's like you get what you dish. You know.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, and then I think it's not too far away from my definition too, where I think accountability is more about you acknowledge the fact of the places where you need to take control of your life or your immediate circumstances, or recognize that you may have a problem, or recognize the fact that you might be unfulfilled in some way, or recognize the fact of maybe you've done something wrong to somebody. I think accountability, at least for personal accountability, has to come from a level of self-awareness, from yourself, how you feel, and how you interact with the world and those around you. And then, kind of similar to your definition, a part of it is being able to hold your other people in your life accountable, or those that you need to hold accountable too. So, a good leader and even a good follower would know how to hold each other accountable for the goals and expectations of the team. Mm-hmm. For example, like the leader will hold the follower accountable for whatever needs to be delegated, what needs to be done, but the follower also holds the leader accountable to hey, you establish the vision or direction of where we need to go.
Yeah.
You're going to do a good job doing that, then I can do my job. And be able to vocalize that to the appropriate party to make sure that the harmony is maintained amongst the group. So I think it is multifaceted, and the reason why I'm bringing these two topics together is because I recognize for myself that I think I am a bit of a perfectionist myself, and I hold myself to very high expectations for myself and my life, and like how I try to carry myself, which I think is good, but can also take on too much perfectionism or too much accountability to where I even hold myself to picking up other people's weights, other people's burdens where I shouldn't. Mm-hmm. And I think that puts a lot of pressure. That makes me put a lot of pressure on myself to where I can't fully balance my internal emotional state well, to where it can affect my connectivity I have with other people.
I mean, you can also think of it like peaks and valleys, though, of accountability. I find that a lot of people, if we feel like we're not good at something, we don't like to be accountable within it, you know? So a lot of people, including myself, will sit in these, what I would like to call like comfort accountabilities, where we're like, oh, like I'm really kind and patient with people, you know what I mean? But I need to work on being on time and getting enough sleep, you know? But do you think I'm always telling myself, you know? I think you can be hard on yourself, but I think also there's an interesting concept where, especially if you're a functioning adult, where there's a lot of people who avoid accountability. You know, they don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, or like we might be good at solving problems that are easy to solve, but maybe not the harder ones that we know that we...
Dude, there was a freaking email I got today. I was working all day on that code I was talking about, and there was an email for something actually pretty important that I wish I had responded to. And I was like, no, I don't want to deal with it. It's like, it came in at 2:48. My work technically ends at 4, but I was like, no, I'll just answer it later. And I read it right before I came to eat with you, and I was like, son of a bitch, I could have answered this question in like 5 seconds, you know? I just didn't want to deal with it though.
Yeah.
He asked me such a stupid question.
Like kind of almost like on the flip side of that coin for me is that sometimes like I might not know how to put my phone down, or I might check my emails like sometimes like in the middle of the night to kind of see if there's anything outstanding. And
you're worried you're gonna get that one email that like the organization's just burning down.
Yeah.
Coming down.
It's like the one time I turn my fucking head, it's the one time everything starts burning down. So it's like I almost sometimes I kind of overdo that, right?
Yeah.
So that's the hard part between trying to balance between, again, perfectionism and accountability, to where it's like you want to make sure you do your job well, but you also got to understand that you're a human being and that you also, there's going to be some things going to inevitably fall through the cracks sometimes because we're all flawed people. I hate that fact. I hate it so much.
I know what you're talking about.
And so I feel like that's where we're having a hard time, especially with the younger population too. It's like, they almost feel like that if they can't have the 6-figure job or the abs or the right relationship or have everything in place, then that there's something wrong or deficient with them.
I mean, that's what we're told. And I think the more frustrating thing is I've become more aware of like over the years of like corporatism and how cruel the world is becoming. And that's the thing, it's like it didn't used to be this bad, you know? And now you're talking about people who can't like the irony of being told that a job is like minimum wage because it's supposed to be a job for teenagers, and then seeing fully grown adults work it during school hours, it's like, no, you're not making it for teenagers. You're making it to be bottom of the barrel, or to be a starting out job. I hate when people say that because like I don't know. I used to be really against the idea of like raising the minimum wage because I was like a little bit red-pilled about it. You know what I mean? And the belief that it would get a lot of people who are lazy or something. But over the years, I've kind of come around about it a little bit more. Do I think that we need to be paying people $20 an hour? No. You know what I mean? But like, like 15 or something to a certain extent. Like
it definitely needs to be higher than what it is.
$7.25.
Yeah, because that won't get anything.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy a Powerade with 1 hour of work. I mean, that's just not fair. You know?
Yeah, it's, and so it's like there's been unreasonable expectations placed on us as young people, being in kind of modern society today, to have the same sort of lavish life that people back in the 1950s had.
Well, that's the thing, it's not even lavish. They just buy a house when they're like fucking
Compared
5.
to us, that is lavish now.
I guess, yeah. As you sit in your home.
It's just, and and I guess that's that's the duality of it, right? To where it's like, it is harder nowadays than it's ever been, but as you stated, and as an example, to where it's like I was able to buy a home at age 26.
You also have a decent job.
6, and be able to try to find a decent job because I was raised, I think, by good family members, being in a good value system, and that's the hard part, and that's the part I've been trying to untangle myself, to where it's like there is an element to where society can dictate some part of your life, but there's also a part to where it's like if you buy into that too much, then you can't really elevate yourself. Like you'll be stuck in a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. Well, I think we're all stuck in it. I mean, it's ironic to considering how much we got screwed over as our generation, right?
Yeah.
But our generation, in a lot of ways, is very selfish. But that's also like, we have past podcasts of me confessing about how like I'm really kind of constantly trying to be selfless.
The world's very transactional place.
Yeah, and so like maybe it's just me fucking coping because I'm angry that.
I mean, you're right. There's this YouTube guy, his name like Professor Zhang, I think is his name, and he talks about some different things. He studied basically societal collapses and what causes them. And part of what he talked about was that as a society gets more technologically advanced, and they start making more money, people start having less kids, they start moving from a very virtuous, value-based society to a more individualistic, materialistic, transactional-based society. And when the values start breaking down and people stop engaging with communities and having families and stop having more fulfilling meaning in life, that things start falling apart very rapidly.
Yeah, that's the thing. So can't we have a middle ground?
Yeah, it's and
Like
that's,
I don't agree with like the freaking shoved down your throat Christian value system that is very eyes wide shut sometimes. You know what I mean? But
well, it can be very dogmatic and
yeah,
very black and white in a world that's very not.
yeah. But I also don't agree with. But like that's the thing. It's that's the funny thing because I was about to be like, but the liberals are this way. But that's the thing. I think they're kind of the same when you get to the extremes of it, the horseshoe theory, you know what I mean? When you get to the extremes of it, they're kind of the same with being super dogmatic, very eyes wide shut, very like, you know, don't you dare say this, you know what I mean? Very like, we follow one faith, that's another thing that's Christian and liberal are very, you know?
It's like we almost as a society-wise that we just lack balance.
We just all need to volunteer, that's my I just oh man, like I used to be really against the idea, or like military service was something that I'm really interested in, seeing other societies do. Like a lot of people, I used to be very against like the 2-year mandatory service that like South Korea does or something, but now I kind of get it, you know what I mean? Like as I grow older, I kind of start to think like, man, maybe that would be beneficial for society as a whole.
Yes, because the idea behind it is it would instill a sense of community responsibility or like thinking bigger than just yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, that's absolutely. I couldn't put it into words. I think that's a good way of putting it into words.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think there's definitely, especially for Gen Z and Gen Alpha, we have a very only focus on our own survival.
Well, I think that's what we're also like. We're also taught that in the sense of like mind your own damn business. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that creates a very isolatory experience, which goes to the loneliness crisis.
Well, then we also have like the particular person I dislike, who loves to gain information for the sole reason of gossip, for the sole reason of pleasure of cruelty. You know what I mean?
Yeah, some people, again, they're so focused on the short term, getting a dopamine hit, or it's like, and even that kind of goes in.
I was about to be like, I don't even think that's a dopamine hit in my opinion. I think that's just a... It might be a dopamine hit, but then also you need a hit of freaking straitjacket and thrown into a cushioned room.
That's up to some to get their rocks off. And I feel like some people do stuff like that, or even like Redditors and go online and like fucking troll and comment stuff like that. They're lacking anything more deeply meaningful in their life to where this is all they have, is to do dumb shit like that.
I guess.
It's not an excuse.
But again, the person I dislike is married and has all the money in the world, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, money doesn't necessarily equal fulfillment. Some people try to buy their pain away, and that still doesn't work. There's a lot of rich, miserable people out there, which is why they make other people's lives miserable, rather than feel better about themselves. And I think the world basically right now, I think, is out of balance, which is why I want to bring up this conversation to where it's like, and there may not be necessarily a happy middle ground here, but how to seek a better balance between trying to make a world and striving for that perfection, but also recognizing the fact that the world is an imperfect place and that not everything's going to go your way. And I guess, how would you know when it's time for you to kind of pick yourself up by the bootstraps or just let society play itself out? And that's kind of...
I think you just got to get over yourself and just do whatever you think is best. I think we all know deep down, like, putting yourself out there is hard work sometimes. My thing about knowing society is against you is about not being too hard on yourself, right? Being able to reevaluate. But I feel like a lot of what we're talking about that makes societies good is really not hard, it's just inconvenient, you know? And that's my thing, it's just like, get over yourself. That's what I would say. It's like, a lot of people are happy but don't have a purpose, you know?
Yeah.
And so my thing, I would almost tell them, and this is gonna be really sad to say because it's the situation I kind of feel like right now, is then have a miserable purpose. You know what I mean? Feel like you're doing your purpose, but be just angry. You know what I mean? Like, the amount of times I've had to talk back and forth with different organizations or like try to help somebody who, you know, maybe I did 30 times the work of maybe 3 times their benefit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. When I was really trying to do my best to help people. And I'm angry a lot in the sense of like how much work I try to put in and what I get out of it. But at the end of the day, I get the hell over it, you know? And you have to understand that people are going to be different from you too. The amount I cannot stand where, you know, conservatives say they won't help people who are liberal or socialist because they don't believe in their ideology and vice versa. Again, the horseshoe theory goes really, really hard in this conversation, you know, because I feel like both of them are equally lazy because both of them want to stand on an ideology that is, in their minds, pure. And that's the thing, is there is no ideology that can go through any situation, in every situation, and come out unscathed. You know what I mean?
Because that would imply that we somehow have a perfect view of the world.
Or
that all-encompassing view that...
Or a perfect solution. That's the thing, there is no one solution. I could be fit for this world perfectly, and then you send me to orc hell in my next life, and I'm not fit for that life, you know what I mean? And the other thing is, I feel like some people would be better vice versa, you know what I mean? They suck in this world, but you send them to orc hell, they'll flip right in, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's... So I guess, I know for me personally, that's when it's like, even like in doing this podcast and stuff like that, because I want to help motivate people and inspire them to have better lives, and like, you know, that's the whole point of it. It's also to recognize the fact that the world's kind of in a fucked place right now, and success ain't guaranteed. And you can do everything right within your power, and do everything you're supposed to do on paper, and things just still don't work out for you. And it's not even your fault because you've done everything you can. But then it's still your responsibility, at least allegedly, to get up and try it.
Allegedly.
To get
still
up.
Coping, allegedly.
You're supposed to kind of get up and try again. But to the person that got burned, it's like, why the fuck would I get up and try again if I just got my ass handed to me several times, even though I did everything else I was supposed to do? And so that's the thing. You don't, logically, you have a point.
Oh, I'd say my first response, knee-jerk, is because the world doesn't revolve around you, buddy. Because here's the way, whether you're obsessed in your self-pity, the world's going to go on without you. You got to get back up, because if in this type of fight, though, it's not a fight to injure you, it's a fight to kill you. You know what I mean? The moment you lay down for too long and you get back up, the world will hit you 20 times harder. People have said, like, one of the hardest parts about being an addict, I've never been an addict, I'm just saying, I've heard this before, it's not always the withdrawal. It is a lot the withdrawal, but one of the hardest parts that people don't talk about is after it's all over, after you finally recover, because now you just have this shit storm of stuff you've left behind that you're now coming back to.
Trying to piece your life back together.
Exactly.
And on top of that, trying to piece your life back together without the substance that got you, that was helping you.
Yeah, or the one that caused it, the one that caused the whole situation, you know?
Yeah, so that's a difficult truth that I guess the point I'm trying to kind of get across with this point of this conversation is that the world is inherently an unfair place, and there are a good amount of ways to lose and very few amount of ways to win. But if you throw in the towel and just get up in self-pity, blame the other political party, blame the other sex, blame the ones in power or whatever the case may be, and not take a fair amount of accountability to put your life and elevate yourself to better circumstances, then your life won't get better. Because really no one's obligated to give you a better life.
Yeah, I like to say all the drops in the wave are the ones that say they did not cause the tsunami.
Yeah.
You know?
And technically it's true, but at the same time you're part of the...
Yeah, like here, okay, I might make one person change today. One of the things that I've come to realize that I think is really cool in a way is like, have you heard of Ecosia?
No.
It's a search engine that is alternative for Google, and it's basically supposed to be like a more ethical search engine in the sense that it doesn't like try to steal your data as much, and it doesn't try to, and it's more environmentally friendly. They also use all their profits, a non-profit. They try to just put it back into planting trees, you know? And I just was like, at first I was like, man, I don't want to do this. Google really works and everything, and I don't think it goes well. And I switched, and like I did not realize how many things I was just looking up and that just need a simple answer. You know what I mean? And now I almost use it, at least on my phone. Oh, I use it without thinking now. I had a place where I had Google, and you just put it where Google was, and now, dude, I use Ecosia almost solely.
Do you feel like it works better for you?
I don't want to say it works better in the sense of like functionality, but there is a part of me that knows that I am contributing at least at least not contributing.
Yeah, you're not contributing to the harmful like data collection or practices that Google might be.
Or the ethics of the environmental destruction. I mean, they're all Google's probably buying a crap ton of those AI crap that's like
the data centers.
Yeah, those that are eating electricity like no tomorrow. You know.
Oh.
And I'm no saint. I still use ChatGPT, to get answers and stuff here and there. Yeah. Like I'm definitely not no saint, but it's just like you have to minimize where you can. And I think a lot of people love to talk about it, hate to research it. You know what I mean?
True. Very true.
And it isn't until you do that research where you're just like, and I think that's one of the reasons why when you do that research, you're like, God damn, I can do stuff.
Yeah.
I know I've kind of possibly wanted to be a PM for nonprofits, but I'm kind of scared to do that. And when you do the research, you realize, oh, they do make a lot less money. Oh, I'm going to be expected to be like a PM of some type, you know what I mean? Oh, my civil engineering degree isn't really going to transfer over way too well. You realize, you begin to see the obstacles, and you're like, oh no,
it's like, oh man, that was real. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the same thing with like volunteering. Is like I've been sitting on this for a while, and I really need to put my application in. But like Big Brothers Big Sisters, man, I've said it for like years, and it's just because I did enough research, and it looks like it's like a coin flip, dude. And that's what scares me. Is like some people are like, oh man, one guy was like the best man at the kid's wedding, you know what I mean? And another lady talked about how like she had a daughter that I think the mother had influenced her to try and buy and try to like financially gain from the big in that situation. So they were like having to like tell her no and shut her down when she was like being mean and callous to them and everything. So it's just one of those things where it's like, at least it looks like a 50-50. That's what my brain tells me, unfortunately. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I just get too nervous to do it, but I need to do it. But I think that's the reason nobody starts, is because when you do it, what's actually a fantastic example of this? When people go to the shelter, dude. We have like, somebody could probably piece it together, but but like, I don't want to talk badly of the group, the organization I'm part of, because truth be told, I think this is the truth for because I volunteered at 3. Have I volunteered at a 3rd shelter? I volunteered at 2 major shelters before. Both of them. 3. I've done 3. And all 3 of them had the same problem. So actually, you know what? I'm not going to worry if somebody pieces together because I feel like there's no shame in saying this. The amount of volunteer drop-off out of animal shelters is like 95% after the first day. And I think that's just because, like, when people go there, they think it's going to be like...
all sunshine.
Yeah, all sunshine and rainbows. The first thing that hits you is the fucking smell, dude.
I can imagine.
Dude, I've gotten used to the smell and everything, but even sometimes you're just like, oh my God, And then, like, these dogs are dirty, and here's the thing, is, like, a lot of people don't understand that, like, these dogs are in kennels that are, like, 5 feet, 6 feet wide, and then, like, 10 feet long, maybe? Not 10 feet. How long is this couch?
I think 7.
It's about 5 feet, 6 feet, like, long. So they're in, like, this very small kennel, and so when they come out, they explode. And a lot of people like expect them to be like super well mannered and everything and all that other stuff, and it's like, and then at the end of the day, the truth is it's inconvenient,
Yeah, I think most people like they go in there like kind of bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, not really knowing what they're really about to step into.
Oh yeah, they get the shit knocked out of
them.
them.
The reality sets in, and it's just like you gotta make a choice where it's like, is this something you really want to stick to, commit to, or not? And maybe a lot of people just they can't make the cut.
I mean, they're just not built that way. Sorry, I sound like a dick.
I mean, some people aren't built.
No. It's the truth is that it is true that way. You know what I mean? But I sound like when I did it. I think the first day I did it till closing. We do it at like 3. We do the orientation at like I think from 1 to 3. I volunteered till closing, and then for the next 2 weeks I came every day.
Wow.
Like I was on it, bro.
So that shows someone I feel it's meant for it, right?
Yeah.
Versus some people that may.
Which is why I'm thinking about, like, I don't know, dogs are so much easier to deal with, though. And it's much more of a clear, like, I help. You know what I mean? I think that's what I love the most about volunteering, maybe, is that there is no such thing, in my opinion, as an evil dog. The worst dogs I've ever seen were not evil. They were insane. And I know that sounds funny. I know you're like, haha, you can say that about people. No, you can't say that about people, because the people have bad intentions, right? The dogs that were going insane were like German Shepherds that were meant for like police forces that like got abandoned, and so they're literally basically in solitary confinement. You know what I mean? And so,
yeah, they don't hold the same capacity for maliciousness as a person.
They don't. And so that's the thing, is that like every time I take a dog out, I clean them off. I clean their kennel full of the shit and urine that they have. I give them a bed. That's my big thing, is beds. I try to make sure every dog has a bed. There's not a guarantee. I actually build the beds and repair the beds and put the beds back. So it's like there's a guarantee that like, oh, this is for something good. You know what I mean? And I've actually even had a rough time. I gave up at one point with adoption events because I couldn't deal with it. Because it was just such a bad return on investment. I think I went to like 3 to 5. No, like in a row, by the way. This is in a row. I went to 3 to 5 in a row. I think I've gone to way more than that. I've never had my dog adopted. Never. At the event, at least.
How many people would come through?
Oh, I mean, how many people have I run into?
That would come through like those events. How many people would kind of come through on average?
It depends on the event. I mean, you're talking some events, it must have been like maybe 100 to 150 people saw that dog. Some events, you're talking like, I mean, there's adoption events where I think like 1,000 people come in one day. I
guess that's what I'm trying to see, because if an event has an average of like 100 people that come through, that means 500 people came through from your experience and didn't adopt.
Yeah, and then you get burnout, because sometimes these events are all day, you know.
Yeah.
And
that's gonna be down.
That's what killed me, is I went to one where I was like, it was an all day thing, and I actually signed up for the next day too, with like a bushy tail, bright-eyed bushy tail, and I went to one and nobody adopted a single damn dog, dude. We went, and it was a mega adoption event. It was the mega adoption event in like Fort Worth.
Yeah.
And the small dogs are supposed to go easily, dude. We got the first dog adopted. We were in the entire event, actually. That's how ambitious we were as a group. Like we were a great group of people too, and we really cared. And we got like 2 dogs adopted, and then like the rest of it was just like struggling. Yes. And then the time I didn't go, they said they got cleaned house the next day, which was the next damn day, the same event.
That's ironic.
They said they got cleaned house. And the other thing is, I just realized I don't like it. You know, I don't know how many ears this is reaching, maybe, but the other reason I don't like it is because there's not a lot of vetting. You know, there's not a lot of vetting in a shelter in general. You know what I mean? People don't know this. They kind of think we're gonna be super thorough and big money. We're not. That like if you as long as you have, you know, your criminal record doesn't pop up with animal abuse, and you know there are certain things we have to do to like just check your ID. You know what I mean? But beyond that, I mean, you could be homeless and still probably adopt a dog if you have the money, which is $25. You know,
yeah.
So I mean, you can get that money.
Very easy access to the dogs.
Yeah, and I think the thing is that when I'm at the shelter, you can, like, everything is glass, right? Not everything, but it's like the windows, they look into the kennels, and then there's clear doors on the other side of those kennels. So it's like a window, so there's like a hallway for the people to want to adopt dogs. There's a window in each hallway to each kennel, right? And then the kennels have like walls, and then there's a door on the other side that is also clear. And then there's another hallway, but this is a hallway on the inside where like volunteers and people who like work there go. So I'll look through the glass, and I mean, the amount of times I've like if you go to a shelter, just piece of advice, just wear something at least decent. You know what I mean? I've just seen like guys in like tank tops and flip flops and like short sports shorts. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm not gonna go help that guy. You know?
Yeah, I mean, like, dress respectable enough so people actually want to work with you or do business with you.
Well, yeah, and it's also just the way you hold yourself. A lot of people see it. The way they look at them, you can tell that it's like a zoo to them, you know what I mean? Yeah. And the people who really care. And that's the other thing. It's like you can still, like, it's not like a complete judgment of like superficial looks. Like, I've had one or two times when I like thought somebody was, they ain't shit or something. And then I go and help them. I'm like, oh my God, I was actually so wrong about you. You know what I mean? Yeah. But the reason I went and helped them eventually is because I was watching them through the glass when I walked by, and I could see them like either like reading report cards or like really standing there and looking at a dog, or like a lot of them will smile at the dogs. That's a really good sign to me. You know what I mean? That they're actually there to
looking at their behavior.
Yeah, look at their behavior. But if we have people there tapping on the glass, I made the sign that said not to tap on the glass. Or if you go to a shelter and you have a little kid that's running around, I don't want to help you. I won't help you. I actually refuse to help those people. Not outright refuse. Not if they were really nice to you. If they're really nice to me and you come, hey, can you help me with this? I'll be like, oh yeah, let me see what I can do. But like, I will not go out of my way to help them. Because my mindset on that is like, if you're here for a dog, you can't even control your kid, bro. You know what I mean? But like but again, and that's another thing I look for is I've had where kids will like start banging on the glass, you know what I mean? Yeah. Out of excitement, and then I'll see the parent pull them back, turn them towards the sign and point at the sign and be like, don't do that. And I'm like, oh, I can help them now. You know? I'm sorry.
It kind of shows like there's some parental leadership in the household that don't want the kids just run wild.
Well, yeah, because it's also going to like, again, if you can't help your damn kid, how are you going to help a dog? You know what I mean? Not in the sense that like it's harder to help a dog than it is to help a kid. It's what I mean is it's an extra responsibility, exactly. And it's like you consider this is the level your kid is at. Your dog is extra on top of that, and if you're here, there's no way you're ever going to reach here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can't try to contain it though. Yeah, that's a lot to keep track of, and like try not to get discouraged that the system doesn't work out well, or if your dog doesn't get adopted, or it's
So I really try to focus on the needs of the dog, and then I kind of try to focus more on like systems that it's a long story. I don't want to go over it in a public forum, but basically I've been trying to work with certain people to try to get something done, and it's been frustrating because there's a lot of red tape around it. But I really try to make systems better. You know what I mean? My idea of helping is not the idea that necessarily like I changed the dog's life and they're forever a different dog, which is true to a certain extent. If you take dogs out enough, it does change their life. So just to give people credit where credit's due, like I just feel like some people delude themselves. You know what I mean? In this idea that they're like the next saint. You know what I mean?
Or something. A level of self-righteousness.
Yeah, and like you should have a level of self-righteousness to it. You are doing a great thing that is a selfless act, but again, it's all in balance. You know what I mean? And that's what I was trying to say. That's why I acted super dramatic. Is because to a certain extent, you should feel like you're changing a dog's life and you're doing a really selfless act. But again, you shouldn't be like deluding yourself. It's also just like the veterans who are there, who have done it for a long time. They would call me a veteran too, ironically. We're kind of in it just to help, you know what I mean? Help dogs and change their lives in that way. So I kind of laugh and giggle at myself at the idea of anybody grandiose enough to do that, because I don't think they would last a day anyways.
Yeah, that's some humility that comes with it.
Well, also, just wait till a dog pisses on your leg. Or like, you can smell shit in the dog's fur that you've been petting. You know, then you'll realize like, oh, maybe I'm not, that's when you realize if you're made for this or not.
I go for this shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, when you have a very, like, the grandioseness comes with a certain level of entitlement. And that's the thing that, like, a shelter volunteer, at least somebody who volunteers a long time, a lot of them can't have. You can be fostering and be an entitled ass, but you cannot, I personally don't think, like, I guess you can, but I don't feel like the people whose entitlement doesn't have grit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so it hasn't really been tested. It's like
yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Exactly.
I think that's actually, kind of going back to the humility point, that I feel like that might be a good, somewhat good benchmark for balance between the not trying to focus on making everything perfect, right, versus also just being able to hold yourself accountable to good standards. Having humility would mean that not just the fact of you're putting yourself lower, but an actual humble person knows the things that they're good at, but also are very clear on what they're not good at. They know the effect they're having on the world. They kind of know their place in it, and it's not like they're being grandiose. But it's like, I am doing my part, but I also recognize that the world's a big place, and that I won't be able to save all of it, but I can at the very least contribute my best efforts in this area.
Yeah, and I think like you can definitely be very grandiose if you don't make it other people's problem. That's my big thing. It's like I personally like to think that with every bet I make, I'm changing a dog's life. You know what I mean? But and then it's ironic because I was super dramatic in that one bit right there. But what I meant is like I feel like some people like to put it out there that they're doing something great. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, they need the societal recognition.
Yeah, they need the societal recognition, and that's what I've tried. That's why I was so dramatic about it. Again, I feel like I'm just backtracking all the way.
No, but a humble person, they're doing this not because they need the social recognition.
Yeah, you're doing it because you truly think it matters.
Yeah, they want to make a meaningful difference that they know they can make.
Well, I've seen it. There was a dog. Oh, God, I was really annoyed. Some of the shelter staff, we got new people, and they gave a Great Dane a standard bed. By the way, it's metal on the edges, so they can't even sleep like off it. They can't. So they was like laying on the ground and everything, and it looked like it was like restless. And apparently it had like, fleas and ticks on it. And we were getting it treatment and everything. The shelter, again, this is a great shelter, but it was just kind of a bad situation in general, right? So I was talking, but then I saw that, and again, I feel like I'm the bed guy at the shelter. So I was like, hey, can we switch this out with another bed? I'll get a big bed. And they went, we sometimes get like we had like a big bed available, but it was like a fluffy dog bed. And I dragged it all the way to the back. And the kennel techs, it was an unmarked dog, so volunteer liability stuff. They switched it out for me, right? And then I think I came back the next day and I found him laying on it. And he looked actually just a little bit better. And that made me really happy. He seemed a little bit more alert and not miserable and less restless, And he was laying on it exactly how you would think, like perfect dog style and all that. And then another dog, again, I got a little bit, my feathers ruffled because we had two holds, and then one of them just didn't have dogs. And it's people sometimes, I worry that if Nick ever gets famous, which I hope he does, somebody's going to see these clips and be like, well, we're going to find the shelter. It's not a bad shelter, It's just bad management at the time, you know what I mean? Just bad people just doing something else. There's too much on the plate, you know what I mean? So that's one of the things I love as a volunteer is I have that ability to be like, no, I don't like this. I'm going to either change it right now because it's within my jurisdiction as a volunteer, or go let the staff know, and then I can work with them to get something. So one of the things I had realized, and again, not a fault of the shelter, just a bad situation, was that they had one hold that was full of dogs. And then I went to like quite a few more missing beds, like 2/3. And I went to the next hold, to the hold next to it, and which was empty except for 2 dogs, and half of the empty kennels had beds. And I was like, "Are you for real?"
Yeah, no one picked up on it.
Yeah, nobody picked up on it. So I got all the beds in there, and one dog was sitting in a corner, and it was a really scared dog too. I saw them slide the bed, and it was like actually like really moving away from the bed. And then I came back the next day, and it was draped on the bed, sleeping. And it actually looked a little bit more like...
Back home.
Yeah, like rested, like a little bit. The shelters, I don't feel like, at least in the beginning, is never a place that's happy for a dog. And I don't blame them. I don't think it ever, should be seen as that. Because we need to be realistic, yeah.
Yeah, it should be a temporary, not permanent.
But I think one of our biggest goals should be that for the dog to not be forever scared or forever insane, And one of those things I feel like that makes a difference is the beds,
Yeah, it's like what you said about what's within your jurisdiction, and it's like you are like the unofficial bed guy.
Oh yeah.
From your words, but it's like you found a little piece where responsibility was abdicated, or someplace.
Oh yeah.
You could help.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And you decide to take it upon yourself to basically be the honorary bad guy, right? And you handle what's in your jurisdiction and do what you can, and then you seek help when something's outside your jurisdiction. But
Yeah.
you have the humility to know this is where I can help or where I can be effective, and it does make a difference.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot to me. It really does. I do really, because nobody was making the bed. It made me so mad, and I'm the only one who fights for it too. Sorry. I need to actually, because I'm actually getting into stuff where I actually will start shit talking a bit, and I really want to respect the shelter. And again, I hope you do get famous, but I really do worry that if you do one day, somebody's going to be like, what is shelter is he talking about? They track him down. But the beds, none of the dogs had an advocate for their beds. You know what I mean? And it's not like these are evil people who want to take away their beds. I'm not saying that, but I do feel like there definitely was not a system in place, nor somebody advocating.
It's an oversight.
Yeah. Nor somebody advocating for like the management of them. So like the thing about these beds is that you can take them apart. So since I know to build them, I'll do what I call Frankensteining, where I'll take 2 broken beds and I'll make a new one out of that one. And I can actually say this. I'm not going to say the shelter, but I can say it was an acting manager. There was like a time where a director left, and it was an acting director, right? This guy was so shitty at his job. I actually never met the guy, but I knew he told them to throw away 13 beds. Now, you might be thinking, oh, I've gone to PetSmart and, got a bed. It's like $30, right? Each bed is $130.
Oh.
And so there's no real replacing that, you know what I mean?
That's fine.
And that's the thing, they just look at them and they're like, oh, the tarp's broken, let me break it, let me throw them away. You know what I mean?
Trying to see what you can do.
Well, that's the thing, the tarp is not that, like, the tarps are like $35,
Yeah.
but it'll be made of metal. And it's like, I can take that apart and put it back together, you know? Again, whatever I'm saying was under a director that is no longer there, and it is a great shelter that I advocate for, and I advocate for anybody to do volunteer work. I really, God, I was looking at this like 7-minute mark, and I was like, man, are we gonna make it to an hour? I'm feeling kind of tired today. And then I started talking about volunteering, and I think that's been like 30 minutes. I'm so sorry, Nick.
No, I think it's important because it brings like natural, practical experience to what we're trying to talk about, to where you were able to identify something that you can take responsibility for.
Yeah.
An imperfect shelter, right? You saw where you could be useful, and you maximize that, and you're actually able to make a meaningful difference within that. Even though you're not solving all the world's problems when it comes to dogs, right? You know you're doing your small part to it. That's fulfilling to you.
Yeah.
And I think that's really the question I'm trying to say is to where it's like the world's an imperfect place and always will be, right? But in terms of what you can take accountability for is see something in the world or in your own life, something small, and have humility to what you can manage, what you can't manage, and see what you can do about it.
Yeah.
And take that step and see how far that gets you, and you might be impressed with the results it turns out in your life, to the fulfillment that you have, the relationships that you can build, the future you can actually build for yourself, to where if you just take on little bits of the world that you can manage and try to make it a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm agnostic. I have many different beliefs and values and everything, but this is going to sound, I hope this doesn't sound super astrology-like, but I personally like to believe, like, number one, if you go truly into atheism, a lot of people are like, it is whatever you think it is, you know what I mean? That kind of mindset of like, nothing matters, it's only whatever you make matter, you know? I kind of work in probabilities, right? In the sense of kind of like likelihoods, you know what I mean?
Okay. And
there is only one thing. So like, you know what's the thing I think might be the most everlasting thing that I can consciously like understand?
What's that?
A soul. Because I think we can think of a million things, like going away disappearing, just this and that, right? The only thing a person, I feel like, cannot fully comprehend is the idea of, like, what happens after we die. You know what I mean? Because I think the idea of consciousness just ceasing just doesn't seem familiar to us.
Yeah, can't really perceive our own non-existence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so one of my very sentimental likelihoods is that if the most impact you can do is not the idea that, like, we all leave this earth the same soul, in the sense of, like, there's no, what is it? The billionaire cannot take his money to his grave. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or beyond his grave, actually. I think that's the quote. Yeah. So we all live equally. We leave equally. So I think that one of the most beneficial and selfless things you can do is help another soul. You know what I mean?
You're saying that the externalities won't last, but the impact you can make on somebody does.
If anything was too low, okay, so sometimes the externalities, like, I'm talking about, like, more, you're not wrong, but I'm talking, like, what I want to clarify, I'm talking more like physical and everlasting, you know what I mean? I think if there was anything, I think a lot of people like to think, like, oh, when I make this, it's, like, going to last forever, right? I work in civil engineering for roadways, you know what I mean? Dude, that shit is supposed to last, like, a century, maybe, you know what I mean? And then they're supposed to replace it. Not to mention, we don't even know if, like, some tech is going to come along that's going to, like, just wipe us off the map, you know what I mean? And I think a lot of people take pride in this idea of, like, their name being on something, or, like...
The legacy.
Yeah, their legacy. And, like, I was really thinking, it really hit me one day in, like, history class, you know what I mean? And I was like, God, I do not care about George Washington, you know what I mean? I was like, man, the only thing I give a shit about him is the fact that I have to learn him to answer a test, right? And it kind of really hit me hard that somebody who I think would be considered one of the most successful people in, U.S. history, not only in regards to, like financial, but also in regards to, like, status and everything.
You set the tone for the leaders to follow.
Yeah. At most would just be a sheet of paper in a history book. You know what I mean? I think you could fight your entire life to be something, and it still is not going to be, like, like, don't get me wrong, what you do makes a difference in regards to your art or your policies or whatever, right? I'm not taking away from the impact you make, but I think a lot of people have this idea of living forever somehow.
Yeah, it's like, it'll be your name that's going to be immortalized. And
yeah.
It won't be forgotten.
No name will be immortalized, you know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, I think in another century, Frank Sinatra will no longer be nobody will know who they are. And I think a century after that, nobody will know who Billie Eilish is. You know what I mean? And then again, that's not to say that those people don't make an impact or don't make good work. It's just, I think it's just the nature of time. You know what I mean? We like to be with what is current, what we think is the best. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so that's something that really calms me down, in the sense of, like, it's my favorite movies, Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's kind of that realization that you mean nothing in the grand scheme of things. So the best thing you can do is help somebody you love, you know what I mean? Help people move forward. Help animals move forward.
It's kind of sounds like the ultimate humility. Kind of.
Maybe.
Yeah, just we're nothing, but do our best regardless.
Yeah, and that's, like, I think that's my thing with, like, helping the dogs and everything. I like to think that, like, I think animals do have souls, you know what I mean? And I like to think that, like, even in my, and that's the thing, is you realize these small ways that you can help, and it's starting to, like, seep into my skin a little bit too much, in the sense of, like, now I'm kind of like, oh my God, I can't ignore it anymore, you know what I mean? Ecosia is one of those things. Now I'm thinking about Big Brothers Big Sisters. I want to volunteer with that. My ex, the one I like, got me into this thing which was called Say It With Your Chest, which was like a homeless thing. And I've been really apprehensive because I had bad, one bad experience with a homeless person, which wasn't even that bad looking back on it. But there's fear in this human interaction. I fear negative emotions, you know what I mean? And it's just that realization that, like, I need to get the hell over it, you know what I mean? Because if I truly want to make a difference, truly want to preach a world, truly want to be selfless and loving, and want to leave this world with the idea that I was beneficial within it, I just got to shut the fuck up and do it.
Okay, dirty up a little bit.
What?
Have to get dirtied up.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. There's no clean and volunteering. There's never clean volunteering. You'll realize what. And oh my. Okay. Very, very controversial take. A lot of religious volunteering isn't actual fucking volunteering. It's missionary work.
What's the distinctive difference?
I feel like volunteering has to have a clear direction of, like, you are benefiting this person in some way, shape, or form, you know what I mean? I feel like missionary work is more so promotion of the religion itself, you know what I mean? Which you can have it be both in certain cases. So, like, I know somebody who did, like, a men's retreat, you know what I mean? Which could benefit the soul and everything, you know what I mean? But, like, some people will be like, I guess you could say they volunteered. I don't necessarily agree. Some people will be like, I volunteered as I managed the communion. I volunteered for the communion. It's like, yeah, well, okay, you know what I mean? Like, I guess, you know? But, like, also, like...
It sounds like your volunteering is more focused on helping those less fortunate.
Yeah. Like, you shouldn't have... I see those things where people volunteer for, like, communion or something, or in certain ways, as, like, more of ceremonial. You know what I mean? You are an honor. So that I can tell if somebody was like, "Oh, I was an honor," I'd kind of like, "Okay, whatever," you know what I mean? But, like, to say it's volunteering is kind of like complicated for me to hear, because I feel like there can't be a distinction. You know what I mean? To a certain extent of, like, I don't know, and I don't know. Maybe I'm just an ass. I'm so sorry. You want to make this go 30 more minutes? Dude, I talked with my coworkers the other day about how I didn't think, what's that freaking... Oh, no, we talked about it too! Holy shit, what was it? God, this... Winter Olympics,
Shuffleboard?
It's not shuffleboarding.
Curling.
Curling.
Yeah.
How curling wasn't a sport.
Yeah.
And I got beat. Dude, I talked with him for 30 minutes, and dude, it just crescendo down. I'll fight until I'm done, you know?
Yeah, curling kind of sucked, yeah.
I'm kind of it, but I've come to realize I'm kind of a purist with certain concepts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, I'm kind of a purist when it comes to sports, hence why I don't think, like, curling's a sport.
I feel most people fight. I don't think they'll stand against you too much on that.
Oh, and if the curling's do, I've seen the amount of working out they do. I'll fold them like
all
long
five
shit.
of the audience members.
Yeah. I'll just lift one arm and go whoosh, and they'll be blown away by the wind. Or no, even better, they'll be like, oh no.
They'll shuffle away.
Yeah, they'll have the little broom and try to just slow themselves down. But, like, I think then the reason I say that is because I think I'm also kind of a volunteer purist too. You know what I mean? I'm thinking of, like, okay, we take away...
You want to see the direct impact.
Yeah, well, not only that, but I think, like, I want to see the impact that can... I want to see the impact that doesn't have a connection to benefit you, I guess I would say. You know what I mean? Like, if you... Like, if I would think volunteering would be, like, even if you just help somebody with their bags across a parking lot, you know what I mean? Like, you don't really have a benefit for that, right? To do that outright. I think that's the thing. I think my thing with volunteering is there cannot be a benefit that directly comes back to you.
It has to be inherently sacrificial.
It has to be inherently sacrificial. And so, like, with that communion thing, I think you're kind of just participating in your own religion. You know what I mean? So that's why I don't see it as... There's no sacrifice being made. That's why the men's retreat, I kind of do see as volunteering, because I think you're putting in a lot of time and effort to organize it. And then it's beyond religion in a lot of ways. It can be spiritual. You can talk about what it means to be masculine. You know what I mean? You can have deeper impacts. But it's not, you know, but if there is a men's retreat where they're all just like, yeah, Jesus, let's go, you know what I mean? Then I would say that's more in regards to the religion. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You know, but you know, people could also point at me and be like, "Well, what if being selfless is your religion?" And I'm fucking good.
I mean, even when you do something good for somebody and it feels good, if doing something good for someone always felt terrible, most people probably wouldn't.
No, and I don't deny that. Like again, I don't go to adoption events a lot anymore because it felt terrible. It felt terrible to always. Dude, the dogs were having a fucking time though. Dude, let me tell you, those dogs love those events because they're so lonely and it's so sad. And then you go there and they get pet by like 30 people at least, and they're smelling the air. Yeah. I've literally thought about going back just for that reason alone. But at that point, you might as well do what's called Borrow Buddy, which is like literally you can go to the shelter and just take a dog for the day, and then bring it back. I do with my friends. That's kind of nice.
Oh, no, it's thing.
You get a small donkey, and then you just move them around, and then you take them back.
Oh, that's cool.
But you have to volunteer for like 10 hours at the shelter before you can do it. I know that. Just letting you know. Just because I didn't know that, and then they told me the other day, and I was like, oh. Because I was talking to a couple about it. They were like, oh, can we take a dog? I was like, you can't take a dog. Like, they wanted to bring one back, though. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know, you can't do that. You'd have to be a volunteer, and then you can do it. And then immediately the vice president of the volunteer organization I'm with was there. She's a really nice woman, was very upfront. And she was like, no. You have to volunteer for at least 10 hours. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. Well, I'm also at this point now where I think volunteer-wise, I've probably put in like at least 10 hours a month, at least. And then on high volume like months, I probably put in at least like 20, 30. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like to me, it's not even like a blinking twice type thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's part of your schedule.
Dude, I'm already there. Yeah, I'm already there for 300 hours. I'm already in the back with like screws all around me. Baby. Where are the beds? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not really.
You're a bitch employee now.
Yeah, well, you know, it's a great experience. But again, it's just like one of those things where I guess you could argue like maybe I love dogs so much it is my own religion type thing. So maybe like I'm trying to be more considerate to the idea. You know what I mean? But I think you can understand why communion's kind of on that iffy part for me. If somebody like volunteers, like a lot of, like I was looking at volunteer work because what actually awakened me in volunteering was through my Methodist church I went to as a child. We did this thing called ASP where we'd go to the Appalachian Mountains and like repair homes for people, and I fucking loved it. It was like fantastic. And and this is one of the reasons I think I might be made for volunteering. One of the things that you need for volunteering is quite a bit of grit, right? But you'll know you're meant for it if you can be pissed off and still come back the next day. You know what I mean? Like, dude, I have been like there are some people where I'm like, oh, I do not like this decision you made, but I know you're a kind person and I'm pissed, but I'm going to do this for you. You know what I mean? If you can volunteer angrily, you can volunteer almost any time, you know?
It's because you're that passionate about the work.
Oh, yeah. You know?
Regardless of your personal beef, how you feel, you feel the compulsive of that.
Yeah. And again, there are very few people who I think would not benefit from compassion. You know what I mean? A lot of people deserve a pop in the mouth, but there's an overlap there. You know what I mean? There's a considerable overlap. And I think that there's a lot of people who think, oh, this person only needs like a punch in the mouth and then that's what they need. You know what I mean? There's very few people, in my opinion, who really only need that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's usually, I'm not sure you know, like Coach Carter, that movie with Samuel L. Jackson.
I have not seen it, but it's actually free on YouTube Movies right now.
It's a great movie. But kind of like that, where it's like he holds the team accountable, right, for being smarter, showing up on time, having a degree of self-respect, right, but also he helps them out and makes sure they get scholarships and like develop them as individuals. Yeah. So it's like it's dual faceted.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of clips from it at least, and I remember how he said like he would rate. Wait, is he based off a real person?
I want to say so.
That's really cool because I remember at one point he was like. He said like they had to raise up their grades and the parents actually came and were like, why?
Yeah.
And he said it's the way they're going to qualify for scholarships.
So a lot of these guys didn't even make it to the NBA, so it's good for them to have like a fallback plan or like be well-adjusted adults So that way, if their dream doesn't work out, they still have a future.
Yeah.
And they know that they still matter outside their basketball capabilities as individuals. So it's, accountability goes both ways, and that's why when you hold people accountable, it's also just not about hitting them with a stick, right?
Yeah.
So you're almost take responsibility for them almost kind of becoming better people.
Yeah. And the other thing is, like, you have to give them the grace that you, like, I don't know. Like, you need to understand when you try to truly be selfless, there is a lot of return on investment that you're never going to see the light of day of. Like, and I'm not talking like, number one, if you're thinking I'm talking like financially or like gift wise, don't even try volunteering or anything, because like,
That's no purpose of it.
Well, not only that, but you're just not going to get that, like, ever. You know what I mean? Like, I think some people expect like maybe some benefit or something. God, I remember the time when I first started volunteering where I was like, oh, maybe I'll meet my future wife there and fucking... But, like, I'm talking, like, even just, like, emotions-wise. Like, it's... You have to have faith that you're doing a good thing, because sometimes you're not... People aren't going to tell you how much they appreciate you. I have done a lot of meet and greets. I've probably done at least 30 to 50 meet and greets, where I really went above and beyond for people. I really tried to help them out, and again, it was like 2 hours of my time at the shelter. You know how many reviews, Google reviews, I have been made of me?
One?
Yep. And I printed it out and put it on my wall because how much it meant to me. But all the rest of those people, they never heard anything. Oh, and let me make it clear, like, to the people on the camera, if you're listening, you don't have to. It's not a big deal, because I know sometimes that people just don't know to make a Google review. That, in the sense of, like, it would be really nice, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, how often do we live, at least I don't really leave reviews for, like, restaurants I love that I go all the time. I haven't left one glowing review at all.
Yeah. But I also understand that at the end of the day, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. But you also understand at the end of the day that, like, the meaning in it of itself is what matters. And so, like, one of the things I know is, like, I had these three lovely women come along, and they were just looking at all the dogs. They're like, oh, you know, we just want to look by and everything. And I showed them a dog I really liked called Honey Bun. And Honey Bun was so sweet and everything. They're like, oh, let's try it out. And I was actually waiting, and they brought their dog in, and I actually was privileged and privileged enough to be a part of that process a second time, where they got to see Honey Bun. Honey Bun did great. They fostered to adopted her, and then I never saw her again. And the staff even told me that they had asked about me when they came to sign the adoption papers finally. Now, am I going to get mad at those people for not making a Google review about me? No. They're wonderful people. I'm happy the dog is gone. You know what I mean? And with a wonderful family. But it's just kind of like, that process is also just few and far between too. You know what I mean?
You don't do it for recognition.
You don't, and then that's the thing. Is like you don't even you know it's a great way of thinking about it. You can't be doing it for feedback. And what I mean by that is like the feedback of your good actions coming back, and you're getting that good vibe always from it. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you're taking care of a dog, and the next day you come, they're gone, and you go up to them and you're like, "Did this dog get adopted?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I've had people tell me that, like, a dog I love got adopted by a person they did not like. You know what I mean? And then you just have to be like, okay, you know? And you keep moving forward, you know?
And imperfect.
Yeah. And it's just one of those things where it's just like, you have to be willing to get mentally popped in the mouth, like, a few times. And again, not waiting for that feedback loop. And if you're hearing these two things and you're like, man, I don't want to do all that, that's fine. Shut the fuck up then. Because the amount of people who are, especially in our day of age, Christian, conservative, liberal, socialist, who are preaching their absolute hearts out, you know, going to certain protests and everything, or holding certain rallies and shit like that, and then not doing any volunteering at all is insane to me. A protest is not volunteering. Shut up. Sorry. Like, it's not. It's not. You're doing something. You can say you're doing something good. I'm not going to take that away from you, right?
Yeah.
But you are within your own ideology, pushing your ideology.
Yeah. It's self-serving.
Yeah, and if you disagree with me as a liberal, then think of a Christian protest. And if you're disagreeing with me as a Christian, then think of a liberal protest. And if you're disagreeing with me as a liberal Christian, I can't help you. I'm sorry.
But yeah, so trying to make sure what you're doing is for, I think, the right reason, and not just for validation or trying to get something back to you. It's because you notice something in the world that you want to help make better, you want to help correct, and you want to make the sacrifice to do so.
Well, yeah, the amount of dogs I've had to I don't know, and all the dogs are so appreciative. It's really easy for me personally. I mean, it's only 22 minutes away from me. It's open at really convenient hours for volunteers, at least. I can go from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day. I know some people who do it like a job. I know some people who are like retired, and they'll come. Shout out to Wilma, if she ever sees this video, the light of day, wonderful one.
They found their place.
Well, that's the other thing. And it also comes into like a thing of like, if you wanted to, you fucking would, you know.
If it's enough to you.
But that's the thing. It's like Wilma's like a perfect. I'm sorry, I can't get over Miss Wilma. She's so great. Takes out like 10, 20 dogs a day at least. You know what I mean? Like we write our initials on we have like a sheet of all the kennels, all the kennel numbers. It doesn't have dog names on it. It has kennel numbers. And then we write whenever we took out a kennel, so we don't take out a kennel over and over and over. It's like a little graph sheet, right? With the days of the week and then the kennel number, and then it goes like that. So we can figure out when somebody took somebody, when and where, you know what I mean? And you'll just see a streak of her doing like 20 to 40 dogs in one day. And you'll see her initials and everything. Okay. And the reason she's kind of an example of if you want to, you would, is not because of that hard work. Which, by the way, is kind of an example of it, because that's what people kind of anticipated, like, oh, she's there all the time, it's a volunteer if you would. It's also because she's just got that damn grit. She has, since she's older, lovely woman, her skin cuts easily, right? She realized that even the dogs, like, jumping on her, it was tearing her skin, right? So, at one point, she was wearing wraps of like the wraps you would, sports wraps. You put in like, she would make it like super bandaged and everything so she could keep doing it.
That's pretty hardcore. It's
pretty hardcore. And then I thankfully talked to her about it at one point, and I was like, oh, why don't you try Kevlar? She didn't know that Kevlar was something that was very commonly used. If you didn't know, Kevlar is like it's a very thick fabric that it's not even just a fabric. It's like has multiple layers to it. They use it to like stop from. They use it in like I know they use it in like Britain with the knife epidemic. They were using it to stop it, and they use it with certain dog biting things. I did a little Amazon research, and now she wears Kevlar on her forearms so she doesn't get scratched by the dogs. But it just goes to. But that's kind of like my prime example of like, dude, if you wanted to, you would. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, you know. Like, and then another example is like my cousin, man. My cousin is like, when he was, he's 19 now. I actually went to his birthday party about a week ago. Love him to death. But when he was in high school, I would weightlift with him every Friday. You know this.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew, but that drive was like 40 minutes to an hour one way. So, by the way, both ways it's about.
Hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah, hour and a half, 2 hours, and I make it every Friday because I wanted to be there. I loved him, and now he's like, I basically see him as a little brother, and I love him to death, you know. And so it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I don't know, like, and you can change who you are. Shut up about who you are. If you know, I'm sorry. Some people have been like, oh, I just can't be that person. It's like, okay, shut up. Then again, my problem is not the fact that people have opinions. It's that people have these opinions, but they don't contribute to the society they want to see. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they don't really do their part.
Yeah, they don't really do their part. And I think, like, that is so much of, like, what matters. You know what I mean? There is a, have you ever, you've heard of it, but have you ever seen, like, Mr. Robot?
No.
Okay. There's a clip that really, really kind of spoke to me, where he started ranting on a therapist, at least in his head. It turns out it was in his head. Sorry for the spoiler, the mini spoiler. But he was talking about fuck society, and he said, I'm upset that we didn't, that we voted for this. He said, not with our rigged elections, but with our money. And it kind of really spoke to me of like, man, our money really talks. Like we could kill Amazon tomorrow if we all just decided we're not going to buy from there anymore.
If we really hate their practices that much, we just stop putting money into it.
Exactly. Or like Nestle. By the way, I need to stop buying chocolate. I just realized that. You know what I mean? You don't know about Nestle?
I don't know.
They have like one of the largest slave industries in the entire world.
Oh. I did not know that.
That's why ethically sourced chocolate has become kind of a rave at one point.
So does that mean like Hershey's, Reese's, and Nestle? Ah, shit. Oh no. Is Bluebell part of that?
I don't know if Bluebell's a part of that.
Oh, thank God. Okay. We still got Bluebell.
But that's the thing, is like even Bluebell. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be. I'm turning into a vegan by accident. I'm sorry.
Oh, Jesus.
But like one of the things I do, but it's about those small things that like speak. You know what I mean? So one of the things I do is Akoja now, which I'm not blaming anybody for not doing it beforehand, because I'm 27 and I didn't start it until now, and it's been out. I've known it to be out for like 3 years. I just was like, oh man, maybe I'll do it, but you get so used to Google. And then, you have one bad experience with a code, you're like, I don't want to do it anymore. And truth be told, I've only been doing it for like 2 weeks. Maybe I'm going to have a point where I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to go back to Google. You know what I mean? But I think Akoja will stick this time. Because it's like, I haven't really had a reason to bitch about it. And I've come to realize that if it gets bad enough, I'll just go to Google. But that extra barrier of convenience, because I switched out, like, when you go on your iPhone, the little icons you can have on your homepage, I just switched those out and like, that makes the world of difference. Because now it would be so inconvenient for me to look up Google. I don't want to do that shit. You know what I mean? And I'm looking at cast members and all that, and knowing it's going towards a good place. But another thing is like I buy like pasture raised eggs. That's another big thing I'm big on. Have you ever looked into the world of factory farms, bro?
I've seen a couple videos about it. It's pretty fucked.
That's what I'm thinking. And pasture raised eggs, especially I think it's Humana certified pasture raised eggs, are like the highest standard of eggs you can buy.
Are they like how much the cost is between like the standard?
You'd be surprised. It's only like $1 or $2 per carton. So I would say if you have the money, do it.
And that's available like in normal stores like Kroger.
I think so. I'm 95% sure. Because I shop at Aldi, and Aldi is literally supposed to be like the bare minimum store of like, let me get you your damn groceries at the lowest possible price we could find, and here you go. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And they have pasture raised eggs.
Okay. Yeah, I guess so. Like little things like that, you try to do to try to contribute towards
what you want to believe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what's meaningful to you.
Yeah. And so like, I don't know. Convenience is one of the biggest banes to human society. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a gratification.
But I like to think that I can make a better world, and I need to volunteer with Big Brothers Big Sisters. I need to get over it. I just don't want a shitty kid. I just don't want to have to deal with a shitty kid.
Fair.
And that sounds terrible, by the way. I am not saying that kids involved in Big Brothers Big Sisters are shitty kids. I'm saying there's a lot of shitty kids in general. You know what I mean?
I mean, and I think it's interesting because like you already volunteer a lot, and yet you still feel compelled to do more that you can.
Yeah, I think like it's just so meaningful to me to be a part of the society I believe in, and you'll be bitter. You'll be really bitter about people not contributing to the world you want to see. Get the fuck over it. You know what I mean? Sorry, that sounds mean, but like that's kind of what I tell myself, and maybe it's my negative self-talk that I need to work on in therapy. But kind of like, yeah, you'll be upset because you'll just be like, man, I really wish everybody treated people the way I treat everybody. You know?
Yeah, you wish they would give a shit as much as you do.
I mean, I saw your face today when you saw my exchange with the person I did not particularly like,
Uh-huh.
and it was very negative on their end, and I was trying to be just polite, if not neutral, and they were just shitty, and I don't know. It just, and this is why I'm thinking about doing like PMing for nonprofits. I don't know. It's just something I'm debating on. I mean, if I make $40K a year, fuck it, I guess.
I think it's doing something that's meaningful to you is the important part.
If you can do it when you're angry, that's the reason I think I'm meant for it. Because I think, like, if you can do it when you're fucking angry and you're like, no, I'm gonna fucking do this because I love it. God, fuck you. Then I think there's something to be said. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's because you have that sense of conviction about it.
Oh yeah, like, God forbid you stand between me and a dog, man. I don't know.
To find something that you are convicted in, and know something that you can make a difference in, that might be the way to overcome the imperfection, the bitterness, the downtrodden nature of the world.
Yeah. And there's something for everybody, dude. If you think you're some Navy SEAL ass, gangster ass motherfucker who doesn't want to show emotions or anything, volunteer for Habitat for Humanity. Or if you want to be kind to kids but still want to be a motherfucking hard ass to other people, volunteer with what's it called, like CASA? Or maybe it's CASA, maybe I'm an ass, but there's like a volunteer organization I learned of yesterday that's like where you go with foster children to court to be a parent for, like, to be a step-in, like, guardian for them, basically. Cool. But again, it's just like, I think a lot of people think like, oh, I'm gonna have to either be too, like, a lot of people either think it's gonna be dirty, which, by the way, it kind of is, and a lot of people think I'm gonna have to show at least a little bit of emotions, and by the way, you kind of are. But if you're not a fucking dipshit, by the way, because both of those ends are dipshits, in my opinion. If you are way too concerned about not getting dirty and you're not going to help your fellow man, then go into the woods and see if you can survive for one day. You know what I mean? Because you're relying on a civilization that relies off of cohesion and kindness and, like, everything else to work properly. And then if you're on the other end, if you're like this hard ass, dude, get over yourself. You're a joke, Like, I don't know, like, if you can be a Navy SEAL great guy and still be, like, I'm not even talking kindness in the sense of, like, when you see people going, oh my God, it's a little baby, you know what I mean? I'm just talking about enough kindness to be, like, in a Habitat for Humanity, and when somebody smiles at you, you smile back, and then, like, when they tell you to go lift something or something, you're not an asshole about it. You're like, yeah, I'll make it this way. Yeah. And so it's like, again, it's like, I'm just thinking of very, very, very extreme people. Again, if you think you're a hard ass, but you think you have, like, even a sliver of kindness, I'm not talking about you. And if you think you don't like to be dirty, but you think you might get a little bit dirty to help somebody out, just, like, maybe walk in the rain or some shit, I'm not talking about you either. I'm talking about people who are so self-absorbed with their own idea of their image that they'll refuse to, like, go into other spaces.
Any part of themselves,
Yeah, because you can also go into, like if you want to be perfectly clean and do very minimal labor, you can. I know there's a lot of senior citizen volunteering, although they have a very, very distinctive smell. That's another thing.
Senior living, yeah.
Yeah, but again, but if you're a rugged, tugged guy, then volunteer for Habitat for Humanity. It's just like there is something for everybody. There's a guy who I've actually helped to. Recently, he's a great guy. Kind of frustrating sometimes, but I kind of finally influenced him to do a different job than what he was planning. And I'm gonna later ask him. I'm gonna be like, dude, like, I want you to volunteer in one thing at least. You know what I mean? Even if it's religious or something. I think everybody should volunteer in at least one thing you believe in.
Yeah, I even started in my church doing the whole security team thing. I've done a couple.
Have you proposed to him my method?
What was it?
The picture method, where I say take pictures of the people with their kids.
Well, I mean, they kind of have like a thing like that, similar, not really like with a picture, but with a printed out tag with registration name, and the parent has the same one as the kid does, the same number on there, so you can kind of identify and make sure they're
fair enough.
On the same. But I started trying to do that, and like it felt good the last couple times I did it,
Right.
which was little surprising to me, not gonna lie. I was gonna be, okay.
You didn't feel like a mall cop?
No, a little bit. But it's like, I wasn't expecting to be like, okay, I was kind of like warm, fuzzy feelings. I'm gonna do this because he asked for help, and I feel like I can take if I don't at least give it a shot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, actually, I guess it's kind of cool. I kind of dig it. Now, I'm not gonna do like all the time kind of thing, but I think like every couple of weeks, I'm kind of chip in there.
I mean, why not do it all the time?
Yeah.
Because it's inconvenient. Because it's inconvenient.
Yeah. But that being said, is that you might be surprised with contributing a little bit to the world, even in ways that might make you a little bit uncomfortable. You'll be surprised how you feel. Maybe just kind of give it a shot. See how you can be part of the world and reach out.
Like, do it, man. Just do it. Like, I don't know. Volunteer at a shelter is my opinion, at least in the beginning. If you think you can handle dirtiness and you want to help something that will love you and only you and love you like fucking crazy, volunteer at a shelter. And then you'll really see who you are. Because
there's something that you have conviction in. There's something like, if you're a breathing, feeling person, there's something in this world.
I guess you can go help the geriatrics, goddamn.
that they give a shit about. So lean towards that and see how you might be able to contribute in those small ways.
Or shut the fuck up.
But to Luke's point, it's like, there is a lot of bullshit going on in the world nowadays, but sitting down on the couch complaining about it is going to push the world in a better direction at all. So seeing what small ways, have enough humility to recognize what you're good at and what you're not, to see what you can hold yourself accountable for to help out the world and push in a better direction. I think you should go for it. And your efforts may not be perfect, and the world will never be a perfect place, but you can still make it a slightly better place than it was before. So, yeah.
This is our longest podcast yet.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, about almost an hour and a half. Look at that.
God forbid we got into the curling section. We just dashed by that section. We know how deep that pit goes.
But any parting thoughts for our audience?
I'm a cynical bitch right now in my life. Don't take everything I say to heart if it came off that way.
I think there's a lot of people that are cynical right now in this current state of the world.
But if you are cynical, and if you're cynical in a way of like, oh, now I don't want to do it because you said to do it, then I'm sorry. If you're cynical of like, oh, you don't think I can do it? No, I don't. You think you can do it? Then go do it. Prove me wrong. Like prove me wrong, and just do it. And here's the thing. You know what my parting thought would be? If you don't think it's in your personality, then you can probably change your personality. You know what I mean?
There might be a limiting belief that you can put to the test and see how well it holds up. Maybe it doesn't.
Like, man, it can be inconvenient, but like, dude, just do it. Just do it and feel the purpose. Look into a dog's eyes and see that you're their world for the next 30 minutes, and then fulfill their dreams. You know what I mean?
So you can contribute one time and then just go from there. And I think the rest of it will kind of sort itself out as you move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it. That's all I had for you guys today. Thank you, Luke, for being an awesome guest as usual.
Responsibility and accountability. You did not hold me accountable for keeping this. I derailed this entire podcast.
I don't think derailed. I think that was pretty stayed in focus for most of the time.
I suppose.
But anyway, thank you guys for listening as well. Let us know what you think. Leave your comments, leave your likes, and like always, keep it real. Thanks, guys.
Peace.